What's up, everyone? We are looking back at NFL Week 12, and this is your Draftkings Cash Game and Millie Makers Week in Review. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Week in Review. My name is Kevin Allen, aka The Geek from DFS Army, and every week we take a look on Mondays at the week that just passed to take a look at what happened in NFL DFS. What happened with the Millie Maker? Who took it down? What happened in cash games? How did that go? Did the chalk fail? All of those great things. So stick around and we're going to take a look at everything. We'll get everything all cleared up for you. We'll get a feel for what the hell went on and get prepped for NFL Week 13. All right, so take a look at my screen here. And as you can see, top left corner, my cash game lineup. Full disclosure, hit a score of DraftKings score of 110.08 points, which was good for what I'm going to call bubbling the cash line. I'm winning back just a little bit more than I put in with this cash lineup, and I kind of want to show how I came up with it and what I guess was the innovative part, what worked, what didn't work. And so obviously at the top of the lineup here was Cam Newton, who was very highly owned in cash games and about 60% owned. And I did a couple things a little bit differently, but I'm gonna kind of reference the chalkboard and kind of go through how I came up with this lineup. But as you can see, it's a lot of the chalky plays of the week. And there was a last minute swap to Darrell Henderson that we did, which worked out really nicely. So I'm also going to address the Fournette situation, and I really want to talk about leverage against the chalk and how important that is. Any of you guys who have watched the video that plays on the DFS Army main account, where it's Bobby Wow, aka Bobby Clinks, Bobby Millions, Bobby Moneybags, talking about his $1 million win and how he got there. Leveraging against the chalk is the most important thing we can do in DFS, and that we can do in DFS. And I'm going to explain how chalk leveraging is gold. But let's get started with the cash game review. Actually, before we even get into that, I want to show you and just sort of congratulate Billy D, aka Colt 45, on taking down this 20K win. And Billy D actually did the swap we talked about. So he said, thanks, DFS Army. I swapped to Elijah Mitchell late on Geek's advice when the Dylan Jones things played out. I salaried down to Mitchell and hit 10K a month ago. But, yeah, got the logo in there, got himself a DFS Army swag bag win because of this one. And here's how he did it, right? Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Waddle, Leonard Fournette, and then a bunch of shitty plays that didn't do anything, but you didn't really need it because of, let me look and see if I can see the rest of this lineup. Yeah, Herbert did really well. Really interesting, I think, in this lineup was that Herbert here, I think he was stacked. No, I think it might have been unstacked. Yeah, Herbert fully unstacked. The only piece from that game was actually a bring back from Jerry Jeudy. So an unusual approach to taking down 20K. This lineup hit incredibly nicely for 215 fantasy points. That's unreal. Very, very impressive stuff. So I don't even know what's going on here on my screen. I've lost all control of what's going on screen here. Wait a minute. All right, here we go. There we go. Okay. Godwin was a turd. So again, congrats to Billy D on a 20K takedown. Love it. Swag bag for you. But getting back into this lineup, as you can see here, I actually played a lineup that would have possibly even lost in double ups. And this is the importance of playing head to head. I just want to kind of show this. All the wins. Some losses mixed in, but a lot of wins. And a win rate that was actually very decent, about a 75% win rate here. A lot of first places. So I'm being told that the 111 that I put up, the 110.08, actually would have missed the cash line in some tournaments. So it was a bubble for double ups and 50-50s, but good enough to win your head-to-heads, which is really important. Now, how did I come up with the line? This week was really interesting. And just taking a quick look at the chalkboard for DFS Army, you're going to see that this is one of the few weeks where we didn't get a ton of clarity off of the chalkboard. And take a look at why. At quarterback, you had almost identical ownership projections for Brady, Newton, and Herbert. In the end of the day, I played Newton, but Brady was a bust just as big as Newton, and Herbert actually smashed in the end. Could have been played solo, and he would have really helped. But, how do you make a decision? These are essentially the same ownerships. And I would add Tyrod Taylor. Like, there's no difference between a 10 or a 9% ownership projection. At wide receiver, it was very similar. You had Godwin as the top guy, but like Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, all very similar ownerships. There was nothing that stood out and exploded off of the chalkboard. And by the way, I played Gronk also. I mean, only Donkey wouldn't have played Gronk. I don't know what the fuck was going on with ownerships. I had Gronk in 100%. Hold on. I mean, I'm not just saying this. I had Gronk in 88% of my lineups. Like he was. How do you not play Gronk? He was a core play in my sheet. I mean, come on. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that, but the chalkboard said it, and that's what it was. So across the board at running back, it was Christian McCaffrey, James Robinson, Sanders, Jonathan Taylor projecting for high ownership, Darrell Henderson, Barkley. There was no obvious guys that stood out here, and obviously Cordero Patterson and Leonard Fournette were the nuts plays. But, like, my goodness. Nothing stood out. Elijah Mitchell was a great play late. That didn't even pop up on the chalkboard. So there was that. And, of course, the tight end. Yeah, Gronk wasn't number one. Stupid chalk. Houston Texans, clear-cut chalk defense. And I played a lot of those guys. Played Gronk, Henderson. This was my approach. I always played Deontay Johnson in cash games. And again, why did I cash it all with all these shitty plays? Saquon Barkley didn't do anything. Actually, Saquon Barkley did fine. It's just his team sucks. And all these crappy plays, I was able to do the late swap to Darrell Henderson. I actually considered Elijah Mitchell, but I found Eli Mitchell to be more of like a little bit of a tournament swap where Henderson seemed like the cash game play. Gaskin had 2 touchdowns out of nowhere. That I had to. He was popping on the domination station like crazy, but I unchecked him. Yeah. Freiermuth was fine, but Gronk was always a better play. By the way, one little trick I use, guys, is check the salary over on FanDuel. FanDuel had Gronk the same price as Kittle and Pitts, right? Whereas on DraftKings, he was thousands less. So when that happens, FanDuel's quicker to adjust certain salaries. It's weird. FanDuel does that with defenses as well. They aggressively adjust defenses. And yeah, you can never sit Patterson. Patterson is the only reason that the Falcons are ever in a game right now. So Patterson's kind of like what we were hoping Christian McCaffrey would be. He's this hybrid running back, wide receiver. He's such a great play every week. Got to stop doubting him and got to stop doubting Joe Mixon. We keep talking about how Joe Mixon's in the nuts every week. No one ever wants to play him. I now believe that the reason that Joe Mixon really had not as much work last week was because he, or the few weeks, there was that stretch of weeks where he didn't have a lot of work. It's because he was injured and the team wasn't sharing that information. I'm going to warn everybody that the week going forward is very sketchy. I did my first look. I guess I did my first run over the lineups, and there's no value. Salaries are starting to get priced correctly. It's this part of the year. I'll go over this more in the first look lineup videos, but salaries are catching up to where they should be, and the bargains are fewer and further between. They'll pop up. We got to see where certain. I mean, already Madison's priced up. We got to see what happens with Deebo. Injuries usually will affect things this time of year, but players tend to be priced where they need to be. Okay, so let's take a look at what won the Millie Maker this week, and you guys are in for a treat. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take a look at straight up what the lineup was that won the Millie Maker. Tommy Mack, 84, only 21 lineups, handcrafted. Somehow, in just 21 lineups, managed 76 players, so maybe not handcrafted. That's a lot of variable players. But it only took him 21 lineups to take down the million. Amazing. And once again, we see that if you take a look at the leaderboard right here, I'm using the Fantasy Labs NFL contest dashboard to go over this. If you take a look at the top earners for this slate, primarily not 150 maxers. Look, you don't find any 150 maxers for a while. Not many of them made any money this week. So that is always fun and interesting to see. We're going to take a look at the winning lineup, which has a turd in it and yet still won $1 million. And we're also going to take a look at a specific user, Whistles Go Woo, who's been one of the hottest DFS GPP players in the industry. And we're going to take a look and break down what he did this week and try to get a sense of what his approach is. He's one of the smartest and sort of up-and-coming DFS players in existence right now. And I want to take a look at what Whistles Go Woo does. He's built his own optimization tools. He comes from a mathematician background, really special person. So I want to kind of check out what he did and see if we could figure out what he's up to. So we're going to do that as well. But before we do any of that, reminder, at DFS Army right now, the Black Friday promotion ends today. This is Monday. This is your last chance to get 50% off your first month and then 10% off monthly dues in perpetuity. We never do a deal like this. It's specific for Black Friday. You want to go to DFS Army right now, get signed up as a VIP. Last chance to get the Black Friday promo. Again, it's 50% off your first month dues, $69.99, half of that, $35. And then after that, you get 10% off in perpetuity. So you can't fuck around. It is time now to get that subscription. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. All right. So taking a look at this winning lineup from Tommy Mack. Oh, man. You know, it's funny. We always look at these and go, wow, it could have even been better. But it didn't matter because he won $1 million. And you know who didn't win? I didn't win shit. So fucking A. Good job, Tommy Mack. Right? What does he do? He starts off the lineup with a Stafford, Odell Beckham, Darrell Henderson, QB +2 stack. Now, there's no way of knowing if this was a designed QB +2 or if it just happened to have Darrell Henderson or if Darrell Henderson was a late swap off of A.J. Dillon. Let me take a look at the total salary spent. If they share that information, they do. So I actually don't. A.J. Dillon was $5,900. What was the salary for Dillon, guys? I'm trying to see if that was a direct swap. I think he was. I don't know if. No, it wouldn't have been 58. So this probably was the original lineup. I don't think this is a swap. Swap would have left 100 on the table potentially. So I don't think this was a swap. So you've got a Stafford, Odell Beckham, Darrell Henderson, triple stack. Yeah, no, you're right. It was 59. So he would have had 100 left over had he swapped down. So yeah, no, he was 5,900. 62 was like, not Patterson. I don't know, but no, Dillon was 5,900 and it was $100 down. So yeah, the fact that he spent the full 50K means this was how the lineup was originally built. Yeah. And that QB, RB, WR2. One thing we talk about here on the show and all my shows is WR2 is always more correlated with the quarterback than WR1. It's a weird scenario, but yeah, it's a weird scenario, but that is how it works. So Stafford with Beckham and Henderson. Interestingly, no bringbacks from the Packers. Nothing for the Packers. No bringback. That's a team stack. He played Joe Mixon, Millie Maker winner, now 5 times in a row. That no-brainer play. And he brought it back, and I want to talk about the leverage here. So this is something that I actually talked about with friends. I talked about it a little bit on some of my content for the week. And I talk about leverage a lot. So if you watch the video that runs on the DFS Army primary account where I'm talking and having an interview with Bobby Wow about his $1 million win, in that win, and this is a classic DFS play that everybody needs to think about every single week. What he did was that was a week where Lamar Jackson was going to be the chalk. Everybody playing the quarterback. Anytime a quarterback is chalk, the running back attached to that quarterback gets lower than usual ownership. And we as players need to think about, how do I leverage ownership against the fact, for example, this week that everybody is playing Tom Brady. Tom Brady is going to be very highly owned. Tom Brady seems like the best play of the slate. Tom Brady is part of the highest projected total. What are the scenarios where Tom Brady doesn't hit? Well, one of them is he just has an off game. Okay, that happens. The other one is they play fine, but the running back winds up getting all the touchdowns. And, it's hard to envision in our head a 4-touchdown game for Leonard Fournette, but here it is. So Fournette, almost no ownership as a leverage play over Tom Brady, wins the million. There it is, right in front of your eyes. So beautiful leverage off of Tom Brady play where he used Fournette and it worked. Still played Gronk at tight end. Gronk was the man, the most obvious play of the entire slate. Gronk was 36% owned, correctly owned. Gronk was the best play of the week, and it was obvious I went all in on Gronk. So, it's not some hindsight thing. Another big component of this win was just randomly playing Jalen Waddle. This is not a stack here, Waddle, Miami defense, but just randomly playing Jalen Waddle at low ownership in what didn't appear to be the greatest matchup on paper, but you were still getting a WR1 at massively low ownership. Didn't look like the best play on paper, but of course it worked incredibly well. And it's weird because Waddle scored 31, but Tua had a terrible game. So it's just one of those weird times where a wide receiver went absolutely ham and didn't carry his quarterback with him. Bizarre, but that can happen on DraftKings with the DraftKings scoring system. And finally, just a low-owned Miami defense. Anytime you can play a defense against Cam, I guess that's a good play. I didn't really think to play Miami. I thought the Panthers were a good defense. So a lot of props here to Tommy Mack. It's the Mack. 21 lineups, $1 million winner. It's funny, I've had Waddle as a core play every single week until this week. And this was the first week, and he's been great. This is the first week I didn't play because I was like, matchup. But it's also a reminder, don't worry too much about matchups. Matchups are probably overrated. Leveraging ownership is way more important than anything else we do in DFS. And if we could take any lesson away from this Millie Maker winner, if we could take any lesson away from every fucking tournament winner in existence in tournaments across just about any DFS sport, it's the understanding that leveraging ownership is the most important thing we can do in DFS. I need to make a video about it. I will make a video. Look for my leveraging ownership video. I'll put that on the DFS Army. I'm going to show you an example that's so clear on why leveraging ownership is the most important thing you can do in DFS and the most plus EV thing that you can do, and how knowing and having ownership projections is more important than anything else. I'll make a video about it in the next few weeks when I have a minute. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and you hit the notification bell if you like these types of videos. I have an incredible visual way of displaying why leveraging ownership and how to do it and why it works. But I need to actually do a little bit of editing for a video like that, so I can't just slap it together as a stream. So, I will have that out. Let's take a look at some of Tommy Mack's other lineups. I just want to see if we can glean any sort of strategy, and then we'll go take a look at the Whistles Go Woo. So here we go. I mean, he was using, let's take a look at his exposures. I wonder if he kind of loaded up on some of these guys. So here we go. Pittman, Darrell Henderson, Gronk, lots of Gronk. Debo Sam. I'm trying to see the running back ownerships that he did. So Henderson, Robinson, Harris, Melvin Gordon, a lot of that. So he's definitely there's definitely a lot of leverage in most of these plays. Went kind of under the field on McCaffrey. Went massively over the field on Fournette, and that was really the difference maker. Yeah, a lot of field leverage here. Okay. Pittman was chalk. DJ Moore, I'm sure he played some Cam Newton if he's got all that more. Yeah, there we go. Stafford, Burrow, Moore, Herbert. So pretty close to full fading like Brady, or went really low. Really interesting approach. Is anybody else having an issue with the video being blurry? Let me know. I wouldn't know. I think maybe live streaming makes it blurry. I have no idea. Anyway, all right. Let's take a look at, and I'll try to describe it if you're not able to see this stuff. I mean, I've got the screen as large as I can really make it. So let's take a look at the Whistles Go Woo. This is a player that has been hot. The mass multi-entry player. And oh my goodness gracious, here we go. Wow. All right. So he's an MME player and he's got balls of steel. He's been winning a lot lately. Yeah, everybody's saying it's clear, guys. All right. Well, there you go. So I just want to take a look at what he's up to. I would need to watch a certain player multiple weeks in a row to get a sense of how they like to play. So it looks like, he made a crazy decision to go all in on Tyrod Taylor and then secondarily Cam Newton this week. And, that wouldn't have worked out very well for most people. Let's take a look at the running back position again, went all in. So, yeah, he's taking big positions. He's taking insanely big positions and hoping to be right. This is really scary to approach DFS this way. Wow. Yeah, taking major positions. Houston defense. But, I mean, look how few players. 46 players across 150 lineups. All right. I mean, he's been winning a lot, so I have to check. And we'll continue to take a look at what Whistles Go Woo is up to every week. Again, sharp player, really, really bringing a lot of heat. But, we have to see about this all-in strategy. When you go 100%, 78%, and 51%, that trio damn well better smash. Or else you ain't winning shit. So, yeah, going all in on Miles Sanders, crazy. So, I mean, obviously this was a total loss for the Whistles, but I am not bringing him up because he had a total loss. I'm bringing him up because I know him to be a very sharp player. He's been winning a ton lately. So I do like to see kind of what these winners are doing and see if we can glean anything from their exposures. Let's open up a few other kind of name brand players here and see what we could figure out as we take a look at some of the better players in the industry. Boranosaurus Flex, really great player. So let's take a look at what he was up to this week. Well, I mean, the whole amount you could put in was $3K, Galahad. Like, he lost all of his money. Like, the max is $3K on this one. So that, he lost it all. I'm assuming, Parab, that when you say DFS, you mean DFS Army? So, yeah, dude. Why didn't you play Gronk? I begged everybody. I have him in core play. It's like, yeah, Gronk is core play, but that's a great score. So really, really cool. Good job. And, play Gronk. Love Gronk. Loved Gronk this week. Didn't like anybody more. It was like all in on Gronk. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, man. DFS Army subscriber. Part of the family. Love it. All right, so taking a look at, let's just look at some of these other guys. What I'm looking for is exposures, and I like to look at lineups and see what kind of stacks they're building, right? You see another week Millie Maker winner that where it didn't take, you could have won with a stack, but a game stack, but that's not what was used here. So we have another week where the tournament winner did not game stack. He team stacked, he didn't game stack. Crazy. Team stack was QB, WR2, running back, unusual team stack. None of the quarterbacks this week really went bananas, but a lot of them really shit the bed. So taking a look at Boranosaurus, again, this is very, I'm assuming this was a late swap. Every time I see, oh, yeah, is that what is he joking? See, I never know. It's text. So looking at all of this, yeah, I mean, he went high. I loved Saquon Barkley, James Robinson, Miles Sanders was projecting really well. Everybody loaded up on Christian McCaffrey. I think it was kind of a weird thing that people did this week. I think it was like a little bit of groupthink that I don't understand why everybody was so high on the salary of Christian McCaffrey. He had not been producing 30 plus. If Cam's having a good day, Cam's usually stealing touchdowns, and they were on the road. So make sure you're focusing on teams that are at home. Even for tonight's showdown breakdown, focus on teams that are home. But I like to see how people, like top players, kind of spread their exposures. So about 40% max at the running back position, a little bit of spread of different guys. Didn't really particularly want to use the leverage play here. A lot of kind of crappy running backs in the mix. Let's see, wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, Chris Godwin again, just eating a lot of chalk. 38% max. This is, you see the 38% across both position groups. So clearly he's setting a max of around that amount for his play. It's probably set at 40%. Loaded up on the running backs that were projected best in terms of the optimizer, rather than the highest owned play, which was this. Obviously, Gronk was the obvious play of the week. He was massively underpriced. And then finally, loaded up on Houston defense. Looks like Broranosaurus sets a max of around 40 or 38% on any player in a tournament, which makes sense. You don't want to go too all in on too many players. Here's, bro. Awesome dude. Also really, really great. Bro is one of these players that really focuses on lineup construction techniques, what other people have done that leads to win. He's a very formulaic player, which I think is great. And let's see what he did this week. So, oh my goodness. A lot of Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is popping on the optimizer model. Even if he had a terror, I wouldn't have played him, but I don't know how he did. Let's see. Oh no, bro. Not a good day. Tyrod Taylor, value play. Carson Wentz should have led to some quality lineups. Let's see what the lineups look like real quick. Yeah, Carson Wentz, Fournette, Mixon, Cincy defense. There's a little correlative stack right there. Your Carson Wentz lineup, the problem, and he brought it back with Fournette, and the problem was it was Pittman. Carson Wentz didn't win you any tournaments because most people played him with Pittman, and of course, some turds in there didn't help this lineup all that much, but a solid score. Yeoman-like. Tyrod Taylor with Cooks didn't really pay off. Man, Myles Gaskin didn't even get a flame emoji for his what was like ceiling style game. Yeah. Anyway, didn't work out that great for No Bro, but let's see at running back again, ate some chalk. Probably again, I'm assuming all these Darrell Hendersons had a lot of late swapping off of Dillon. That's just AJ Dillon was like you had to play him if he was starting. So there's a lot of late swap. Miles Sanders, I never really fully grasped that. Cordero Patterson, man, if he didn't have that Q tag, it probably would have been all in. And Eli Mitchell was another late swap candidate for some people, but it worked out better. Here's a lot of Jamison Crowder and Brandon Cooks. So because he loaded up so much on that Jets game, you win some, you lose some. Grab another one. Let's see if we can find somebody who won some money, who made 150, who didn't lose, and we'll see what like a didn't lose money person did. How about Chip My Money? He is one of the Awesome-O guys, also known to be pretty good at tournaments. And we'll take a look at one last guy. So what did Chip My Money do? He played a lot of Carson Wentz, some Matt Ryan, Zach Wilson, and went really low. It looks like he may have, here we go. He kind of went under a little bit on Tom Brady, but not really. Just went over on these three plays, a lot of Zach Wilson. So he loaded up on, took some shots, which is usually a good idea. Carson Wentz, you would have think that taking those shots led to some goodness, which it appears to have. Here's a great leverage play, Cordero Patterson. Man, Sanders is losing goal line touches to Boston Scott. He's losing them to Jalen Hurts. That's the problem with Sanders. He could pop off, but if he's going to be the chalk, you want to stay the fuck away. We can make all the we can make all the excuses we want. He could have a good game, but if he's going to be the chalk and he's splitting with Boston Scott and he's splitting with Jalen Hurts, you got to stay away. It's not a good chalk play. It's a good play when no one's on it. As soon as I saw everybody on Sanders, I was like, I'm not playing that motherfucker. So, in case anybody felt stupid about playing Ty Johnson, Ship My Money loaded up on Ty Johnson got massive leverage on the field. Cordero Patterson was clearly the best play, and also massive leverage on Joe Mixon. So a couple of really good running back plays mixed in with kind of a guy that didn't work out. David Johnson is a tough call. Here are some Dalvin. So these look more projection driven. The rest of it, let's take a look at what he did at wide receiver. Again, a little bit of leverage. Michael Pittman, Brandon Cooks, a lot of Jalen Waddle. That's a great leverage play right there. Really worked out. And always want to play Deontay. Leveled out exposure to Evans and Godwin. A little overboard on Jameson Crowder. Elijah Moore. Yeah, there's that Jets game again. Little T. Higgins leverage. Debo under the field. Never go under on Debo. He's a guy you want to be over on. And let's just take a look at tight end and see if he loaded up on Gronk. Yeah, no, not loaded up. Played Pitts. Should have loaded up on Gronk more. Probably could have done a little bit better. And let's take a look at some of these lineups. I want to see what the stacks look like. Game stacks. Team stacks. No game stacks. All right, interesting. So here we go. Wentz, Pittman, Zach Pascal. Best lineup. And the sad part is the two players stacked with the quarterback did shit. Wow, man. Goddard did shit. Look at this lineup. So he got Fournette, Patterson, and Mixon, Cincy Diva, all in the same lineup with Wentz. And then the lineup was filled with three absolute turds. And this could have been, a top 10, a top 5 type lineup. You switch in Gronk for Goddard and 22 points to this. And then just anybody less bad than Zach Pascal. As a matter of fact, the play would have been had he gotten even Pittman and Doyle and put a reasonable wide receiver, could have won the nuts. Wow, that was close. Here's another one that's really interesting. So Matt Ryan, Taji Sharp, Cordero Patterson. So what I am seeing here is Adam Ship My Money is using QB +2. So you got Wentz, 2 bringbacks with a bringback. And this is actually pretty standard, what I would expect from Adam here. So he is playing quarterback plus 2 pass catchers, same team, and 1 player from the opposition, which is a standard way. It's been working for years to set up your stacks. Unfortunately, so you got Wentz, Pittman, Pascal, Fournette here, and there's a secondary stack Mixon defense, and that might be programmed in. We have a setting on the domination station, for example, for secondary correlated stacks where you can include running back defense. I tend not to include that as a secondary stack. I just don't find it's really correlative enough for my taste, but certainly playable. Let's take a look at another one here. So here you've got Ryan, pass catcher. So Matt Ryan with 2 pass catchers. Patterson, Sharp. There should be a comeback from Jacksonville here, or maybe not. So in the case of this one, on the Matt Ryan stack, no bring back. So only a team stack, no game stack. Let's just keep going. Again, for the Wentz ones, you see Wentz 1, 2. So he's definitely including running back in these stacks, not carrying, just allowing it to be running back. And that's interesting. But once again, we got to bring back Leonard Fournette and Gronk. And I don't know which one was forced on the bring back, but one of them certainly was in that game. Again, let's go back to another Matt Ryan. Ryan, 1, 2 pass catchers. Do we have a Jacksonville player? Nope. So on the Ryan lineups, he just chose not to do a bring back. Okay. Didn't like anyone from Jacksonville. Fine. I get that. Wentz, 1, 2 with a bring back again. Yeah, so to cover this, sometimes a running back will correlate with the quarterback and sometimes they don't. I think you've got to be discerning about which times you include them and which times you don't in your stacks. Like I would not have included Jonathan Taylor necessarily in a Wentz stack, but I don't hate it. I just wouldn't have done it. I don't think that Taylor popping off and paying off his monster salary probably leaves enough room for Wentz to go off as well. And Taylor's not a catch 2 touchdowns normally kind of guy. So here we got Wentz again, 1-2. Just unfortunate that Wentz went off, but none of his wide receivers did. Waddle, Gaskin. This could be a secondary stack that's being forced into the lineup, or it could just have randomly occurred. Once again, no bring back from Jacksonville. What I can do is, what I'm going to do, Six, is, like I said, I'm going to put together a visual representation of why leveraging ownership is one of the most important things you can do in DFS. And I'll show it with numbers that everybody can understand. Yeah, and you could say that. You could say different for that. But yeah, I think you could mix Brady and Fournette. But again, there's a bigger argument for Fournette as leverage against using Brady. And I would say that there was a bigger argument for using Taylor against Wentz, not in the same lineup with him. And but we did see the Millie Maker stacked Darrell Henderson with Matthew Stafford. So it works both ways. It works both ways. Here's another one. I mean, you could just see. Now, here's a Wentz with just one player. So what I think we're seeing here is, at the very least, Ship My Money is making different versions. Yeah, here you go. Here's a Matt Ryan with Gage, Patterson, and Marvin Jones Jr. So I think what I'm seeing here, for the way that Adam is approaching Ship My Money, I'm saying his first name, the way that Ship My Money is approaching lineup construction, is he is making multiple rules. So he's not using just one. He's doing, again, Wentz +2. He's doing some Matt Ryan. Where's the other one? The Jaguars one. He did some Matt Ryan +2, and then he did some Matt Ryan with the bring back. Or maybe I didn't see the Matt Ryan one from before. And here's a Zach Wilson one with Brandon Cook. So QB Crowder +1 with one bring back. Ryan 1-2 with the bring back. So he does. His Matt Ryan is Ryan +2 with the bring back. Tyrod +1. Couldn't mix him. Running quarterback. No Jets bring back. Newton +1 with the bring back. Tyrod. Nico Collins, gross. No Jets player bring back. Ryan 1-2. No Jaguar. Yeah. Ryan 1-2. There's a Jaguar in that one. So definitely, yeah. Yes, he does. But listen, other companies, whatever. Good players are good players. We see people taking down tournaments. We could take a look at what they do. So that's a good question, Joe. Again, do a lot of back testing, but I do not, because you don't hit the nuts in NFL DFS, never. None of these lineups, including the winning lineup, was anywhere near the perfect lineup. I don't suggest purposefully, and ties are wildly rare. There's no benefit to leaving salary on the table. So if it happens and you leave 100 or 200 on the table, that's fine. But there is no tangible benefit, and we've looked at this over multiple years for these Millie Maker contests. There's no tangible benefit to leaving salary on the table. Here's Megan Joy. I mean, Megan Joy won $1 million a couple weeks ago. Here's Chipotle Addict. Let's do one last one, and then we'll shut it down. But there is no tangible benefit to doing that. So I would definitely not try to force leaving salary over. You don't get anything from it. You can get benefit from it in showdowns. You can get benefit from it in contests where the nuts lineup is achieved, like NASCAR. I don't, by the way, everybody's the opposition, Galahad. Everybody's the opposition. Understand this. In the end of the day, DFS is not a team sport. It's an individual sport. And every person needs to train themselves and train their own mind into what are the approaches that can win you tournaments. I look at everybody. I'm not here saying, hey, this player who's known but works for some company isn't good, and he doesn't work for us, or he's not part of it. It doesn't work that way. I want to see what everybody's doing. The fact that data is publicly available, just the same way that I explained to every one of you guys, and I love that you're here with me doing the weekend reviews every week, because you're getting better as players. So I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. The same way that I tell you, you must back test your strategies every single week when you're using the Domination Station Optimizer, and you have the ability to back test and go back and re-optimize and look, hey, I could have done QB +1. I could have done QB +2. I could have used 1 unique. I could use 5 uniques. I could use 6 uniques. I could use 3. How much randomization should I use? You need to be doing that every week to train yourself. Part of what I'm doing here is saying, hey, first question I always get asked by people is, how much exposure should I have? Or my favorite, how do I know how much exposure to have to each player? Well, we don't know. There are certain things that we can use for guidelines, but a lot of it is, let's look at what other players are doing who have won long-term. And I'll show you two, Chipotle addict, Papa Gates. They lost this week, right? Oh, we shouldn't look at them. They lost. 2 of the best players in the world, right? Chipotle addict, Papa Gates. Wouldn't it be smart to look at what they're doing every single week and try to figure out, okay, this is the strategy that they appear to be using, right? So I look at Chipotle, and he's like, he loaded up on a couple of, he went 30% on one quarterback. Then I'm like, all right, well, what did he do in those quarterback lineups? Like, let me see what he did. And so you get to say, he might not. All right, so looks like a full stack: Tyrod, Brandon Cooks, Jameson Crowder, QB +1, 1 bring back, and then just let the rest of it flow. Okay, interesting. Tua, Gaskin, Waddle, Gesicki. This is a massive stack, right? When you do a giant stack like that, you got to bring back with DJ Moore. Okay, expected. Tua, only Waddle. So here's Tua +1. I was like, wait a second. What's going on here? Tua +1 with DJ Moore. The last one was Tua +3. Tyrod +1, 1 bring back. Okay, Tyrod +1, no bring back. Tua with 2, no bring back. Oh, yeah, and a bring back. Joe Burrow with 2 and a Steeler. Standard. Tyrod Taylor, 1 bring back. Carson Wentz, 1 with 2 bring backs. The second bring back might have been an accident. Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Darrell Henderson, Tyrod, Cooks, Elijah Moore. Are there secondary stacks that I'm missing in some of these lineups? It looks like pretty standard basic stacking approach. So Chipotle is winning with his exposures when he's winning. So let's take a look across. We see he went kind of heavy on quarterback. You switch to running back. Oh, yeah, load the boat. Now, again, I believe that this is a late swap. Every time I see a lot of Darrell Henderson, I believe a lot of that was late swapping. Loaded up on Robinson, fine. Loaded up on Barkley. Hey, we're on the same page there. Lots of Mixon. But went as high as 60, 50% on a couple of running back spots. Okay. What about wide receiver? Loaded up on Jameson Crowder, of all people. Okay, and Brandon Cooks. I mean, you see it in the lineups. So he's willing to load up on a couple of players up to 50%. And if he's right, that's how you win the tournament. He went below the field on Gronk. So there you go. Right? Let's see what his brother Papa Gates did. Did he play the same guys? Did they switch it up? Do they coordinate? I don't know. Papa Gates took a much more liberal approach to his quarterback exposures. Running back, a little bit less all in, sort of a wide spread. And then wide receiver, 100% Mike Williams. So Papa Gates banked his entire week on Mike Williams. Also, like Jameson Crowder, I guess the brothers discussed it. Let's take a look at some of these lineups. Yeah, Mike Williams in there. Imagine if you didn't go all in on Mike Williams. Could have had a little bit better week. Could have had somebody better there. Fournette. Needed Fournette this week. 6%. That was enough. Needed Waddle. Percentage 24. Lifesaver. Where's the other thing to note is where he's anti-leveraging the field. Godwin saying, I'm going to fade Godwin. There it is. Fade Deebo Samuel. Faded Pittman, who was going to be chalk. Really interesting. Anyway, all right, I think that does it, guys. I think it's enough for the week in review here. I'll be back shortly. For those of you who are watching this live, for the Showdown Breakdown for tonight's Monday Night Football special. Remember, if you're not signed up at DFS Army, get signed up using promo code Black Friday, Monday, last day to do it. Last chance to get signed up for half price first month. Why not? Give it a check it out. We're half the price of other sites when we're full price. So there you go. Get signed up. I'll be back. Remember to smash the subscribe and notify button so you get notified when this video hits every week, when our Showdown Breakdowns hit every single week. We're crushing that. So I'm excited for tonight's game. Let's get into that here shortly. Come back to the channel, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes if you're watching this live, and we'll have our Showdown Breakdown. If you missed it, hopefully you caught the Showdown Breakdown. Hopefully you caught this. Hopefully you smashed like. Hopefully you subscribed. All those good things. And I will see you guys next week for another Week in Review.